Did I scare you? Probably not because, you're listening to a podcast, but let's pretend that I did because it's spooky season, and welcome to a spooky edition of We Read It One Night, the podcast where two sisters read romance novels about witches, ghosts, and demons. Oh my! We're kicking off spooky season with Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper, a cozy, small-town sapphic romance about two witches falling in love and getting revenge. Rachel gets pretty pissed at the magic system in this book. Allison briefly channels the ghost of Karl Marx, and we are super divided on the cat scale. Drop us a spooky rating and review, and enjoy the show. We started a little late recording this, listener, because I was playing with my cat, with our cat, but my cat. And that plays into directly what I discovered this week. And it's that, so I don't know if we've said before, but we established early on that our cat is a Swiftie. She just really vibes out listening to Taylor Swift. She really enjoys it. She loves folklore. That's her favorite album. She's not a big fan of Taylor Swift's earlier albums, but she likes folklore.
She likes All Too Well. 10-minute version is what she likes.
No. That's what I was bringing. That's what I was bringing up. She likes folklore and Evermore to just vibe out, sitting next to you in her little puzzle box. But All Too Well 10-minute version. So you're supposed to play with your cat at least an hour a day.
I thought it was less. You just do
no,
short,
it's at least an hour of enrichment. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean playing. That can just be cuddling or brushing or quality time with your cat at least an hour a day. And so I obviously I would get bored, the cat would get bored if we did it for an hour straight, so I do it in 10-minute chunks. And what is a perfect way to time,
oh my gosh,
how long you've played with the cat is by playing All Too Well 10-minute version.
So true. It's perfect for everything. You could run a half marathon and basically you would just need I don't know, maybe max 12 All Too Well 10-minute versions. You're good to go. Not max, that's pretty fast actually. But speaking of Taylor Swift, this episode is coming out the same week as Midnight's, Taylor Swift's new album, is being released allegedly at midnight, October 21st, because 10 plus 2 plus 1 is 13. Get it? And
it's also Kim Kardashian's birthday.
Yeah. Do we think that was intentional?
No. I think that was a happy coincidence.
Yeah. We will all be listening on midnight. Or I guess if you're if you're somewhere else, it won't be midnight. So happy 5 a.m.s, I guess. To some of you.
Just anywhere unfortunately. Not on the East Coast. Is it midnight EST?
Well, it'll be earlier where I am. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. It is midnight EST, so it'll be 11 for me. Haha.
Wow.
Suckers.
You get it a whole hour.
Suck on that.
What was that sound you just made?
Well, that's not the sound they make. It's a Mean Girls reference. What? It's a Mean Girl.
Also, speaking of Taylor Swift, who's a queen of music, and our cat, who was a queen, which is the official name for an unspayed cat, but now she's spayed, so now she's just a princess. The queen is dead.
Oh, yeah.
We're recording this on the day the queen died. And I literally found out because my coworker, so I saw that she was under medical supervision, quote unquote, or whatever, that everyone was rushing to Balmoral to be by her bedside. So I was like, okay, she's probably going to die soon. But I found out she died because my coworker, who is the editor for a book about the royals, all she put in the office group chat was she's dead. And I was like, what? She was like, the queen. I was like, is this how I found out that the queen's dead?
It's so funny because I was eating lunch and someone randomly we were talking about conspiracy theories, I think, and someone randomly mentioned the queen being sick, which I didn't realize was news from today. They announced it just a few hours before she died.
No, she's been sick for
but as if, but sick. I guess even I know she's been sick for a while, but I guess that it was more serious. I think they did put out that announcement literally just this morning, right before announcing she died. So who knows? And then we all got up to leave, and I looked at my phone. And I had a text from you from like 5 minutes ago, and I was like, "Oh, the queen died." Like,
oh, so you found out from me?
Yeah.
I'm glad I spread the news to a lot of people. I like told a lot of people, and then I sent them that TikTok of that Irish dancing troupe dancing to Another One Bites the Dust in front of Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
From like January. That video was from
Yeah.
January. It wasn't from this, but it was like, it's still funny. Yeah, that's how. And then Stefan, our little brother, came out singing like "God Save the."
You mean like out of his room? Out of his room? Yeah,
he came out of the
closet. Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah, no, he was hiding. Stefan lived in a closet.
He was waiting until the queen died. He didn't feel safe to come out to us until
he knew the queen was a notorious homophobe. So he's red, white, and royal blue.
Oh
he
my
knows
God.
the facts. But no, he comes out of his room just like blaring. I guess it's "God Save the King" now, but formerly "God Save the Queen" at like the top of his lungs.
It took me the longest time, or I always forget that that's the same song as "My Country 'Tis of Thee."
You can't win a revolution and then not like bastardize someone's national anthem. Like, come on. Anyway, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. Now's your chance. Ladies and germs, happy almost Halloween. We're in the midst of spooky season. Today, we're doing Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper, whose real name is Lana Popovich, because she's a Balkan girl. Like,
this is her? Oh my gosh. Wait, because we like messaged her, or she messaged up. I forget who reached out first, but we had like a whole conversation with her on Instagram, like back when we were
in Serbia, in like Serbo-Croatian.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
She's like, I think she's Serbian. She also lived in Croatia. She's something. She's like lived all over. Like, there's clearly like Russian influence. But yeah, Lana Popovich. We had a whole conversation with her
a while ago, like beginning of the pandemic. Yeah,
it was like ago. At New Year, because I'm pretty sure we were talking about
Christmas,
Serbia.
like going back for Christmas. Yeah,
because Serbia, because Serbia has like a whole they're really big on New Year there, like so much bigger than like that's communism. Their big holiday.
Maybe it's changing. I don't know, but yeah,
no. But in terms of like those like all night, like they like. There's like Dick Clark's Rocking New Year's Eve featuring Ryan Seacrest, but they have their like, and they like dress up. Like, it's like a lot. And so we were talking with her about the New Year's thing and whether she was watching. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is Lana Popovich.
So I didn't like connect that. Wow, Popovich. If you're going to add the H on the end, why would it be Pa?
Because it's P-A.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm pronouncing it phonetically.
I was picturing it as P-O for some reason.
Yeah, no, it's Popovich. You're right. It's Popovich. It's P-O.
Right. Wow, I just gaslit
myself. Thought it was, to be fair to me, I was pronouncing it P-A because I thought that's how it was spelled. Okay. Popovich, yeah. Anyway, shout out to our fellow Balkan. God, why didn't I say that correctly? Balkan girl, Lana Harper, who wrote this book.
Woohoo.
This book specifically was not a listener suggestion, but we had a listener request for spooky witch gay books, and this is a spooky witch gay book. So this is Sapphic Witches with a very high cat scale. I just like want to say up front. There were a lot of like direct.
Wait, you think this book is like high on the cat scale?
There were I wrote down. There's so many the love interest is compared to a cat.
About? What? It's so
There's
dog-like.
So many times the love interest.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I have the quotes.
Dog-like. I also have the quotes, so we'll see.
Anyway.
This book, okay, so basically Emmeline Harlow is this what has to be extremely inbred witch town. Like, I'm very unclear on that.
No.
They bring in people from the outside, I know, but like they also definitely marry in with each other, and the number of times it's like said that they look like their ancestors, like many times removed. I feel like you don't get that without like inbreeding. Like, there's no way you're gonna look like your great like
from like 500 years
with
ago,
no genetic diversity. Yeah, like that's the only way.
What I choose to believe is that like the magic, like cancels out any like adverse effects of the inbreeding.
Absolutely not, because the magic like I don't know.
Okay, so this town is called Thistle Grove. It's a cute little town in Illinois, which I forgot. I thought it was in like Georgia or something.
Illinois, Georgia.
I don't know. Probably.
I would have thought like Maine or like New Hampshire, Vermont. Like that's the vibes
or
I
like
got.
Salem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's called Thistle Grove, and basically it's like super magic town. But like nobody but like the witches know about the magic. Like there are like normies that live there and like don't know about the magic.
There's 4 families, and I was very unclear on whether, because they kept saying that they were like magical royalty in the town if you're in the families, but there aren't any people that are magical that aren't in the families. It's just these 4 families, right?
Well, no, because I would assume like there are the 4 families, but I would assume like say you're like, okay, so they're the Blackmores, the Thorns, the Harlows, and the Avramovs. So the Blackmores are allegedly, they're dicks. That's all you need to know about them. But they're allegedly descendants of Morgan Le Fay, and they can like, their like specialty is like the elements, like changing things, whatever. The Avramovs are apparently descended from Baba Yaga. And their specialty is like spooky dark magic. And then the Thorns are like plant people, and they're descendants from like random druids. They don't get a famous ancestor. And then the Harlows are the nerds, and they just like don't really have a specialty, except they're apparently very good at warming drinks. Remember that?
No, not just warming drinks. No, making drinks the perfect temperature for whatever you want it to be, which is pretty cool. Yes. Pretty good. I will say.
It is very cool. And they're like the bookish sort, and like they're basically like the town like scribes, and like they don't have a lot of magic. Yeah. So Emmy is the like heir to she's the scion. That's what they call it. The scion.
And the town was founded by like the 4 ancestors. Like that's why there's the 4 families, 4 like people. It's like the Hogwarts houses pretty much, except that they're all related. Something I really enjoy about this is that apparently if you marry in, you get magic too. Like that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That was fucking sick. Well, that's how they prevent the inbreeding. Because Emmy's parents, Emmy's mom is not from the town. Then love interest Talia, each of her and her siblings all have different dads who are presumably none of them from the town.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Blackmores. They're probably inbred because they're like, you know.
Okay, here's the thing.
The worst.
The Blackmores did nothing wrong except on a personal level. I kept waiting for them to have been cheating somehow, and they weren't. They were just good at competing.
No, you fundamentally missed the purpose of this book. Okay.
Which is what? Like economic protectionism and cartels instead of competition? Like, I don't understand. The main thing that gets me is that they're all like, oh my gosh, it's so unfair that their businesses are doing better and ours aren't. Like, they should have, like, let our businesses do well. Like, and I kept waiting for there to be some unfair edge. Like, they're cheating. They're somehow, like, stifling. No, they're just, like, being better at business. Like, the amount of times.
No, it's not because they're better at business. The magic is giving them an advantage.
Sure, but they're not winning, like, unfairly. Like the system, maybe the system's fucked, but like the Blackmores themselves aren't doing anything other.
The system is fucked, Rachel, and the Blackmores are taking advantage of it.
What do you mean taking advantage? Well, what's the alternative? Higher prices for everyone? Like, I don't understand. What do you want them to do? Like, just make the higher price?
They're not making it cheaper. They're putting it all in one place.
But that's probably because they can make it cheaper and better. People like it more. You know what I mean? Like, what are they supposed to do? Like, not give people more of what they like and somehow force them to go to the less good thing? Yeah, that's the same, Allison. That's how a fucking cartel works. You don't encroach on each other's territory.
Rachel, here's the thing. Well, right. This town isn't like a fucking normal small town where it's like everybody's competing with each other. These people have to be there. The premise of the town is if you leave the town, you lose your magic.
Oh, just so
you
stupid.
Have to live in.
They're idiots for letting themselves become dependent on that. I hate that. Like, we found out at the end.
It's silly.
It's stupid.
Silly. But I'm saying, like, they have to live in the town to do magic. So it's not like, okay, my business failed here. I don't have a livelihood. I can move elsewhere. They have to be there. Okay. So the Blackmores, basically, they have, like, this thing called Camelot, which objectively, like, morally, in the context of the book, I'm like, oh, you evil capitalist scum. But, like, outside the book in real life, I'm just a normie going to this town. This would be sick. Like, it sounds so great. It's like
a Ren fair. It's great.
It's a Ren fair, but better.
Ren fair, yeah.
Like 10 million times better, and with like real magic, and like it's legit. Like, it's great. But they're like basically stealing everyone's business. You know, obviously, like, this is a cutesy little tourist town. It gets super big around Halloween. And so like the Blackmores are like, you know, the Thorns have like their orchards, and now the Blackmores are like starting an orchard and like taking away their business. And like the Avramovs like do a haunted house and like seances and stuff. And now like the Blackmores are like putting that in too, and they're encroaching on their business. The Harlows are just like the book nerds, so like they're fine. They're not being affected, and they don't have enough magic to worry about anyway. But
and I guess the other part of it is that part of the reason they're able to do so well is because they have like there's like this competition where they keep winning and they get like good luck. But that just seems like such a stupid part. Like, why would you set it up like that?
No, it is a very stupid format, but it like that's but basically it is like they're just it's okay. So we're talking about this now, so I'm just gonna bring this up now. Basically, for me, and this became very clear on this second reading, like I got a sense of this the first time I read it. I wasn't like annoyed by the injustice like you were, but it became really clear to me the second time that this whole book is like an anti-capitalist metaphor, and like also for like things like class inequality and like generational wealth, and how like, yes, it's not that like people who are succeeding in capitalism aren't necessarily inherently evil. I mean, like, you know, Jeff Bezos is evil, but like that's a different thing. It's that like the system is built that like once you get on top, like it's so much easier for you to like continue to stay that way and create further disadvantages for people who aren't on top.
I know, like I see that was the point. I just like there should have been more. I feel like because I don't know, just like first of all, it rubbed me the wrong way that I don't know, like they live in like this tourist town. They have a very like, you know, it's always those people who like live at the beach year round or like live in like, you know, like the tourist towns that are like, oh my gosh, we're so much better than the tourists. Like all these losers coming to visit, or like you know what I mean, like the vibe, or like the normies.
Are
like
they like that?
She calls it a slur. They totally are.
They call it a slur, and that was a stretch for me. I was like, I don't know. They're people but without magic.
Anyway. My point, and just like the number of times statements like, oh, they keep doing well with Camelot, and then they just put the money right back into the business to make it grow.
No,
and it's like, what's the alternative? To hoard it for yourself and just like live a lavish lifestyle? Like, I don't understand what you want. Like, I don't know. Like, the thing is, you definitely can use your like market power to keep your market power, and that's like objectively bad, right? Like that's like that. For example, like you're a monopolist and you like sell things below cost in order to run people out of business. Like that's bad.
I mean, that's also essentially what they're doing. Okay, so every 50 years there's like a competition where like the three scions from houses Thorne, Avramov, and Blackmore all compete to be like the head witch for the next 50 years or whatever. And then House Harlow just like arbitrates, like they're just like the judge, like they don't participate. And when you become like the head witch, you get, like we said, like you get all the magical luck. You get like a boost in your magical powers. And House Blackmore has won every single, like this is what, the 7th competition in history of the town? They've won 5 out of 6 times. Yeah. So like they're continually building, like they're continually getting that magical boost. So each generation, like the next competition, they have an unfair advantage.
Yeah, sure. The whole system is just like totally whack.
No, it's also a fucked system.
Also, winning like gives you good luck, and it makes you like live longer for some reason. Like I don't know.
No, it keeps you like hot. It just keeps you like looking young and hot longer.
The word used was longevity. Like you definitely
longevity.
Longevity.
Which longevity and latitudity.
You get to look hot and you get to live longer while looking hot.
So Emmy has left. She left when she was 18 for college, and then she hasn't been back at all for 5 years. So her magic is gone. And the reason that she left was because Gareth Blackmore, who's the scion of the Blackmore family, was a little douche canoe and was basically just a douche. He was a douchey teenage boy.
Yeah, they dated. He broke up with her, and for some reason, that was like I kept waiting for there to be something worse with that too.
He broke up with her because so because she's a Harlow. Emmy has always had like a little bit of a self-confidence problem because like she's not a very strong witch. Like the family's not that important. They don't even get to participate in the competition. She's like, basically we're like the losers of the town. And so she's always had like a chip on her shoulder about that. And then she dated Gareth, who's like the hot young Abercrombie model, Fang, powerful Blackmore scion. And they secretly dated. And then he dumped her because he was basically like, I need a Jackie, not a Marilyn, but like in witch terms. You know what I mean? Like he did like a Legally Blonde Warner thing on her. He was just like, you're not good enough for me, basically. Sure. And so that kind of just like set her off as an emotional 18-year-old. And then she just like kept pushing herself in this pattern of being like, I'm leaving the town, I'm reinventing a new thing for myself. And so she like went to college, and then she like she works as like a, I don't know, brand manager or something, like content VP or whatever, for a company that makes like essentially like what we think of like modern witch like boxes, like monthly boxes where you get like tarot cards and incense and like that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I don't know, that's funny that she chose to do that. But her journey throughout the book is discovering that, like, you know, is it really what you want to like be in Chicago and to not have magic and to totally distance yourself from this town? Or like, did you just course correct in like the totally opposite direction, like still equally as far away from like what you really want? You know, like she didn't, and I get like being stuck in that mindset because she thinks she's like, oh, I'm empowering myself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about her not being relatable at all. She's also like very against remote work, which is so obnoxious to me.
I wrote my first like official note about this book is, this hoe gave up magic for what?
I
for
know.
Student debt and a 9-to-5?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. No, and she's just such a baby. I don't know. I don't want to like belittle anyone. If something affected you like really strongly like that, like okay. But when it's a character in a book, I'm like, I need a little bit more other than like my high school boyfriend dumped me in not even a particularly bad way. He didn't even like,
it's not just the high school boyfriend though. Like that was the straw that broke the camel's back for her. I wouldn't make the same choice Emmy did, but I do understand within the context of her character, like how she got there. And I also would like to extend a big old fuck you to her dad, and also to like her
100%.
great grandpappy Harlow.
Even her mom, like going along with it. Like, come on.
Sure. Like, I would just like to, like, a big fuck you for like allowing her to feel like this salty and like self-conscious about this. For reasons that you will find out why.
But also, yeah, no, that really bothered me. But also, I don't know. It also kind of like the fact that, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the general journey is just like to feel at peace. Like the fact that she needed to actually not be as lame as she thought to, or like, you know, her magic power. Like she still like roots her self-worth in that. So it like there's the measuring stick, and she always felt like she didn't measure up. And instead of realizing that like where she's at on the measuring stick is actually great, and like she doesn't need to measure herself by that, and find, you know, like her worth is still inherent, she gets like higher up on the measuring stick, and that's how it's like resolved, you know?
I mean, I would disagree that that's how it's resolved. I feel like she's like 99% of the way there,
I guess so.
before she finds that out.
I guess so.
Like she's finally starting accepting like, okay, I do have worth inherently as a person, and also like I really like this town, and I'm making myself unhappy by cutting myself off from like all these people I care about in this place I really love.
I also feel like if we were going to go the like, you know, I agree with that. I feel like if we were going to go the like increasing your measure on the measuring stick route, it should have been in a way that gives her like really, really cool powers. Like that actually gives her like strong magical powers.
So actually, this is like a great place to bring this up now. So the love interest, like we said, is Talia Avramov. And
you just keep doing the A, like mixing up the A's and ah sounds.
I don't know. It's been a long day. So we established that when you marry into one of these families, you get their magic powers. So if you marry into a Thorne family, you get plant powers. And if you marry into the Avramov family, you get spooky, like dark witch powers. So my question is, multiple times it's really established all the younger generation are dating like other witches in the town.
Wait, really? Who?
Well, I mean, like Lyndon, like Gareth.
It's
like,
more just like Gareth.
The next book is Lyndon's brother Rowan and Talia's younger sister. It's like set up as an enemy lovers in this.
Yeah.
Although interestingly, the third book, which hasn't come out yet, is between Blackmore and then Morty, the bartender, the non-binary bartender.
Oh, thank God!
They gets magic.
Oh my God.
But okay. So this is my question. You're a witch. We have two witches. They get married. How does the power transfer work?
I bet it just doesn't. But what do their kids
it combine?
Have? But what do their kids have? Yeah, that's a great point.
Right. Are they like hybrids?
Yeah, I would assume that they each just keep their powers. But yeah, it's a great question.
I don't know.
Maybe
that's
like
what I was wondering. And then like Talia and Emmy, I mean, I guess if they had kids, they would have to use a sperm donor. So like it's a little bit different.
No, because I literally was thinking this whole time, I was like, I'm kind of glad that it's two women, because then the incest thing is like not as big of a problem. But no, I bet, you know, I think it would just be like half and half, like the same way as like someone with like blonde hair and brown hair has a kid, and the brown hair person has like a blonde, you know, recessive gene. Like some of their kids are gonna have blonde hair, some have brown hair, and then you just like identify with whichever family.
Yeah.
I guess that is. I don't know.
Like what last name do you get? You know what
Yeah,
I mean? 'Cause
I don't
your
know how the
is
last
based
name-
on like the family that you're part of.
There's a lot that's unclear with these like like it's right, and like how I guess the last name is just like it just overrides. Doesn't matter if it's like man or woman.
Yes,
like
that's what I think.
there's a lot. You can't think too hard about it. How these like I don't know.
The book both has very complex world building
and like
and also just like
yeah.
you can't think about it.
No, I think she did a good job with the world building. I think it's kind of like, well, Neon Gods was even farther on the spectrum, but I think it's kind of like Neon Gods where like you both know exactly what's happening, but also you're like, wait a second.
Right.
Like
it's like here are the rules that you need to know to follow the plot and to get a sense of the world, but like we're not like diving into the like full nitty-gritty details.
Which is fine. Speaking of Morty the bartender, I did not know who the love interest in this book was going to be until like over an hour in, because so we have Emmy comes back to town. The first person she talks to is Morty the bartender. He's an old acquaintance from school who she's like, oh wow, like I can't believe he remembers me, and like he has blue eyeliner. We like learn that he's like nice, whatever, and I'm like, okay, is Morty gonna be like the love interest somehow? Then in waltzes Garrett, her ex, and he doesn't recognize her. And so my first thought with that was like, okay, he's going to have been so heartbroken that she left that he like put a memory spell on himself, and that's why he doesn't remember her. And that's going to be the plot. No. Like, right? Like it's going to be all been like a misunderstanding. He feels like, and then finally over an hour in, like Talia waltzes up, and like, I still didn't know. I like for a little bit, I was like, wait a second. Like, is she going to be like, we think we can trust her, but it turns out she's like evil. Like, who's to say?
Are you okay? Interesting.
And then it became clear. Like, it became clear as soon as like, you know, we got full. Like, Talia was the first person that we had like full like, I want to kiss her in this book. You know what I mean?
Well, that was my thing. I was like, even before Emmy has the thought about how she wants to kiss Talia, I was like, I have never experienced stronger like, just kiss already frustration than like I have with their first conversation. I was like, God damn it, just jump each other's bones, just go make out in the alleyway.
Yeah, I mean, by the time we like finally met Talia and had like a whole conversation with her, I was like, okay, it's gonna be Talia, but like it's replicating my first time reading Twilight almost, where like each new boy that was introduced, chess club vampire.
Anyway, we're getting off track. Okay. So we begin the book. Emmy is driving back to Thistle Grove with her dog, Jasper. The dog, Jasper, is very cute. I like him, even though he's not a cat. And she comes back, and like as soon as she crosses the like town boundaries, she gets like a rush of magic, and she like can smell the magic, which I really liked. I don't know, the imagery that she's like Thistle Grove, like the way it smells, it was just so like this is such a cozy fall book.
For
like,
sure.
If you want,
I really want to be in like the north. It feels like
I want to go to Thistle Grove, even though it's in Illinois. I was like, this sounds beautiful. I would love to go there. Like, lovely. It was both very spooky and like very cozy.
Mm-hmm. No, I really liked it. So she goes, she sees her mom. Her mom's British, and her mom like assumes that that Jasper is her familiar. And I was great. Hoping that he would turn out to be. I don't even know what that means, but like
the familiar great. Is it's like a witch thing.
No, I know. But what would it mean functionally? Would it mean that Jasper could suddenly talk? Like, what are we talking here?
No, that they're just like spiritually connected. Like, I don't know.
Like why didn't we get that? What the heck?
I think that Jasper is her familiar, and she just like hasn't gotten to the point in which she can admit that to herself.
Yeah, is that going to be like a later book? I hope so. Just like as a side note,
I don't know.
Oh, there goes Emmy with her familiar Jasper. Like, aren't they cute? Yeah.
Yeah, so she comes back. She hasn't seen her parents in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you chase, like, instead of leaving, why didn't you chase Gareth out of town? This would have been the better move.
No,
why are you giving up magic for a 9 to 5? I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. Giving up magic for choosing a 9 to 5 over like anything. Like what? Why?
But like magic
in Chicago. Of all places, Chicago.
Some people
No,
like
but listen.
the city.
Oh, wait a second, though. She's literally like, I'm not made for cold weather. Like, I hate the cold, and yet she chose to move to stay in Chicago,
and she can't even warm her drinks to the perfect temperature anymore.
Oh my god, that's
travesty.
horrible.
Emmy goes to the bar to get a drink, and she sees Morty, like we mentioned.
Gareth waltzes in with his like posse of cousins, I guess, and they're like out and just being assholes. And he's like, "Hey, like sweet thing, haven't seen you around here." And she's like, "Oh, you're fucking with me." And he's like, "No." He like really thinks he's like doesn't recognize her. And at this point, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like he was so heartbroken that he put a forgetting charm on himself.
I mean, listen, that would
but
be
no,
a
he's
good
just
one.
an asshole. Yeah, he really doesn't remember her.
And I really love that she doesn't clue him in. Like she doesn't tell him who she is. She's basically just like fuck off. And so he has that like unpleasant surprise when like he sees her later at like the tournament. You also know he's a dick, not just because he's drunk and like flirting with her and like being a dick, but like because he's rude to Morty, the service worker.
True. Yeah,
like snaps his fingers at Morty, and so you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, this is all I need to know about this man.
Yeah, but then she's basically like, fuck off, and Morty's like, you should leave, whatever.
Something I do think is funny about is the Blackmore commitment to the aesthetic, in that they name all their kids after like Arthurian characters, like
Gareth
in the legends.
Has like the least stupid name, yeah.
Yeah.
So Gareth and Posse fuck off, and out from the shadows comes mysterious, invisible,
hot goth Slavic witch Natalia. Except like Russian. Like what's that but like Russian music.
And we find out that like Emmy had like a huge crush on Talia when they were in high school. Like she's a few years older, and like Talia dated all the other girls, like never Emmy, and like whatever. They bare their souls to each other, and I was like waiting for there to be something more that Garrett did. There never was.
It was just that guy. I feel like everyone knows that guy where you're like, I can't, like, there are a few shitty things he did, but not enough where you're like, oh my God, he's evil. But it's just the vibes.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I feel like he was written really well in terms of the vibes of that guy. And you're like, I can't lay exactly why you're the worst, but you're the worst.
And I have nothing, there's nothing like, I'm not saying he's not the worst. I'm saying it's like he's so lame to have been the reason that she was like driven from the town. Whatever. Anyway, we find out that Talia also dated Garrett and he cheated on her. But like she says it's not that serious.
But yeah, during their heart-to-heart, like, and Emmy is constantly like this. She's like, yes, I am in Chicago, and Chicago is my real life, and I am totally happy and thriving in Chicago. Chicago's the best. She's like trying to convince everybody, including herself, that like this is true. And I'm like, sweetie,
less.
You need some magic therapy and a romance novel. That's what you need. Like, you take a bath, simmer down.
Oh my gosh.
You calm down.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Okay, so next day, she goes to brunch with Lyndon, her best friend, in quotes. And basically, she finds out that Lyndon dated Gareth and that they were like, she was like in love with Gareth.
And she was the one that was like the mutual cheating with Talia.
Yeah, and then she found out that he was cheating on her. And I just, okay, logically, reasonably, I know that Lyndon dating Garrett like 10 years later, when like Emmy has moved out and like they're kind of drifting apart, like her dating Garrett is not out of pocket.
Especially because Emmy was being so fucking dramatic and nothing actually happened. Like,
yeah, like she's like, logically, reasonably, I understand. And I also understand that like, she's sort of a victim here too, because like Gareth is obviously very manipulative and like he's like constantly like, let's keep it a secret. That's like the running theme for all these relationships. Like he's like, let's keep it a secret, presumably so that he can like, two-time people.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand logically that Lyndon is a victim. It's not weird for her to date Gareth 10 years later. Spiritually, I'm like, lies, deception, betrayal, like ultimate burn the witch. I'd be so pissed. I know if I were Emmy, like I know I would not have any right to be pissed, but I'd be so pissed.
Oh my gosh. The fact that her name is Lyndon, I literally every time that was said, I thought she was a dude.
It's gender neutral.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what gender neutral names always are? They start out as boys' names, all of them. There's not a single one that goes in the opposite direction. The same as like allegedly gender neutral clothing. It's just men's clothing. Yeah, Lyndon is listed as masculine. Wait. Lyndon is listed as masculine only on behind. How's it spelled? I was picturing Lyndon. It's masculine only, exclusively. Thank you.
Okay.
You can be named whatever you want, but
I was like, listen, I know, like, just with the Lyndon thing, like, I'm not saying like she deserved to be cheated on, but also I'm a Scorpio. Like, she doesn't. I know she doesn't. There's a tiny part of me that I was like, karma's a bitch. I was like, you're like the tiny little asshole that lives, like the tiny Oscar the Grouch that lives inside me.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
yeah,
bitch.
But when you consider that this whole time Emmy was like, oh, well, we're not really going to be friends anymore.
No, like, right. Emmy was like, we're like drifting apart. Yeah.
But I'm fine
Where
with
Lyndon, it's like it's established that like Lyndon was trying so hard to like maintain their friendship when Emmy literally refused to come home.
Yep. No, and I really enjoyed, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like recently, I mean, there was this book, there was Love on the Brain. There was like the friendship moments like got me like really emotional. I was like, oh, I didn't quite like tear up with this book, but it was like very, I don't know, like when they like have their heart to heart. I don't know. It got me.
Yeah. So then Talia swoops in and she's like, ladies, we're doing a pact.
Yeah. John Tucker must die. Gareth Blackmore must die. That would have been a good name for this book. Gareth Blackmore must die. Payback's a Witch, also very good. Very good. So yeah, so they're going to team up basically and like cheat but not cheat.
Not cheating. Yeah, so basically, so there's like the way the competition works is there's 3 tasks. And it's like the 3 of them compete. Yeah, it's so Talia is going to compete, Gareth is going to compete, and then Lyndon's twin brother, who's like older by 4 minutes.
See, you literally just said Lyndon right now, and I was like, "That's a boy." Right? I was like,
"Oh my god,
what do you mean, twin
Lynn?"
brother?
I'm just gonna call her Lynn from now on, so you're not confused. Lynn's twin brother Rowan, who's like 4 minutes older, is gonna compete, and so Rowan and Talia are gonna like work together in each of the tasks to like stop Gareth and like allow one or the other of them to like get the thing.
The problem is that when you say Lyndon, I have such a specific image, and it's basically the Stuart Little kid. Imagine that kid, but like stretched out into a young adult. He has blonde hair, he has glasses, he is very much nerd, he has suspenders, he's skinny, and he like pushes his glasses up his nose. That's Lyndon, okay? And he's about to go like become, I don't know, like an assistant to, I don't know, in the 1920s maybe. I don't know. It's just so specific.
I don't imagine that. I would imagine the vibe for Lyndon as a boy's name for me would be like Connecticut boy wearing Sperry's and like a half zip sweatshirt, you know, like the sailing man, like Martha's Vineyard kind of guy.
I could see
so, like
that
the complete opposite, I feel like, of like your Lyndon, other than the fact that they're both blonde for us.
Yeah.
So they all decide to team up, and since Emmy's going to be the judge, basically like Emmy just like spiritually, magically like knows whether things are against the rules or not. And she's like, well, it's technically not cheating, so sure. So she goes to her family's sweet bookstore, like objectively sweet bookstore, and she touches the grimoire. Like she like her dad shows her like their original grimoire, and she touches it and she's like, one with the town. Ooh. And she's like, oh, a rush of magic.
Yeah. And what we should also mention is that the dad like basically guilt tripped her into coming back.
Yeah. As he should.
Yeah.
As he should. At the very least, if he's not going to tell her the thing that would have definitely made her stay, the very least he should try his damnedest to get her to come back.
Yeah. Also, another person who I feel like does deserve righteous indignation is that Emmy doesn't have any siblings, but she has an older, mark that word, older by 1 year cousin, Delilah. But poor Delilah isn't like in the direct line or whatever. So she is like, in my opinion, robbed of her birthright. Like I think like Delilah absolutely and Delilah first of all stayed. It's very much like a prodigal son setup, except it's like the prodigal cousin. And Delilah like stayed. She's the one she's super into like all the rules, like all the magic stuff. And she like really wants to be arbiter. Like she would die to do that. She's been here this whole time, but she's robbed of it.
She's super into the Harlow legacy. Like she like shows up. She's wearing like their symbol is the owl, and she's like dressed like in owl color. Like she's justice for Delilah. And I would like to say like I think Delilah does get some justice at the end. But I was like, Emmy, why the fuck are you so mean about Delilah? Like, she's constantly shit talking Delilah in her head. And I'm like, Delilah doesn't deserve this. She doesn't deserve this slander.
I know. It's such it makes me so mad because I don't know, like the rules of this town are so stupid. Like the way that I don't know. It's just so it's like in one way, like at least it's fair in that like it's not like gender segregated, but like why are we first of all, if we're gonna segregate by birth order, you should at least do it in the whole family. You know what I mean? Like it should be the oldest, in my humble opinion. Whatever. You can't think too hard about it. Delilah was robbed. Can you imagine being the older cousin?
I'd be so pissed. Yeah, so basically the dad is like, yeah, like you're going to be the arbiter, blah, 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 blah. And at this point I was like, I realized, I was like, wow. So like Emmy was always going to be the arbiter. Like all of the kids, I mean now adults, like they all knew like what they were eventually going to do. They were eventually going to have to compete in this thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is wildly bold of Gareth to piss Emmy off.
Yeah.
When he knows that in less than 10 years, she's going to be judging him.
I mean, he probably figured she couldn't do anything and like wasn't powerful enough, I guess.
But like she's the judge. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
they know.
right.
And there's open records. They know.
Right.
Like it's publicly available what happened at each like tournament.
Well, but that's like that's like definitely a core personality trait of Gareth that he says multiple times. He's like, I'm sorry, like I always fuck things up. Like I know, even though I know it's like against, you know, my own interests or whatever, like I fuck things up. I'm just a fuck up. Yeah.
You're just a fool. You're boo-boo the fool over
bad
here.
He's bad at self or whatever, like delayed gratification or whatever. Yeah. So oh yeah, okay. So I just like love Talia's character. Another love on the brain comparison. This is like one of my new favorite like character tropes, I guess, is just like goth girl who's just like making macabre jokes all the time. Yeah, she has a great quote. She's like, "Let it be known that if I hadn't already decided that the Prince of Bastards should be condemned to 1,000 hells, like this would be enough." Like after Emmy tells her, I don't even write down the exact thing.
I really like
also
the voice is great. I thought that was just great.
And then they come up with like jagbag. He's a jagbag. Should I just start talking like this all the time? Hello, I am Talia Avramov. No, it's a little more,
but it's like lower. Like it's
a little more Valley Girl. Hello,
anyway,
my name is
the audiobook
Talia
narrator
Avramov.
is really good. I enjoyed her, except for the fact that she said pumpkin.
She was good, and now I didn't know that.
She said,
but now that you just said that, maybe that's the reason I liked Emmy so much because her like voice was relatable. It's like nice to listen to. I don't know. You know what I will say for this contest and setup is that it's still as bad as it is. It does not at least take the cake for stupid wizard contests because it still does not hold a candle to Wizards of Waverly Place.
Oh, that's what I was saying. That was my note when about how the spouses get magic. I was like, it's anti Wizards of Waverly Place because in Wizards of Waverly Place, if you marry a normie, you have to give up your magic. Like that's the whole premise of the show is that the dad gave up his magic. But this is like the opposite, and I was like, way better. I love it.
So much better.
Now we're at the opening ceremony. Emmy is wearing Jimmy Choo's the opening ceremony, which like takes place in basically like a field or whatever. So I was like, that's a bold choice for you. I was like, interesting decision.
The magic lets you do what you want and match the mantle, I guess.
But she's wearing there. She puts on the magic cape, the mantle.
It's a vest. That's what I think of it. A vest, like a bright orange.
A mantle.
Oh.
It's not a bright. It's like
not bright orange. It's more like a fishing camo, but like a.
No, Rachel. This is like from the OG tournament. Cargo. It's from the OG tournament. It's not a cargo
vest.
It's a cape.
The cargo vest.
It's like Doctor Strange's cape. Like that's what it is.
Oh, can I just say? Wait, sorry. Her dad. Okay, can I just say Discovery? Her dad's like, I'm gonna give you a primer on like the rules. A primer, right? Yeah. Is that primer? It's not primer. And then I looked it up, and apparently the American pronunciation is primer, and the British is primer for both. Because there's also a word primer meaning like elementary school book that is primer no matter what. But I feel like in this use of it, I don't know. I'm just very confused. I've never heard primer in my entire life.
I learned that, to be fair to you, I did learn that from
get out of here.
My colleague saying it at a meeting and me being like, oh, it's primer.
See, I feel like I would have corrected them. Like, what do you? I would have been like, what?
Well, this was like my boss's boss, so no, I was not going to correct her pronunciation in a meeting.
My God. Anyway, she's in the mantle. She can see everything. She becomes 10 million feet tall.
But I would like to say, the magic, Rachel. So when she puts on the mantle, she gets like a rush of magic, right?
Yeah.
And the magic is her own personal brand of heroin.
Oh
She
my
specifically
God.
compares it to being on
Wait,
to like
that's
taking
funny
heroin.
because there was another like Twilight thing that I wrote down that was like so minor that I was gonna skip over it until now. But like she's like, seeing my dad's grin, quote, made me realize why my mother would have thrown aside a whole life to marry him. Very like Renee and Charlie.
The fact that she becomes super big, I'm imagining like the hot giant from Monsters vs. Aliens.
Oh my God. Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
We have to watch it. Yeah, we discovered recently, me and my brother discovered that Rachel had not seen the family class animated classic Monsters
family
vs.
classic
Aliens.
if I've never seen it.
We saw it. I'm fairly certain I either saw it in theaters or I saw it at movie night at the pool.
There's no way it came out that long ago.
Monsters vs. Alien. It's 2009. Okay,
Yeah,
so then I saw it in theaters. I don't know. I saw it and it's excellent. And there's a hot giant lady who's the star of that. And that's what Emmy reminded me of.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The hot giant lady also has a douchebag ex in that movie. So the parallels, I'm sure that Lana Harper was inspired by.
Oh my God. I mean, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So she opens the ceremony. And Gareth, I would like to point out, is wearing van braces. Like he literally wears like knight armor to all of these events.
Isn't it just the arm part?
Yeah, it's just the arm part.
What's so bad about that?
It's just funny. Like again, it's the commitment to the King Arthur aesthetic. Like you know what I mean? Say what you want about the Blackmores, but like,
how the fuck do you even?
They
spell
have
that?
a vibe.
I can't even Google that. Oh yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah. Exactly.
I just think it's funny that he's like wearing knight armor.
They keep roasting him, but I'm like, why are you jealous? Like,
that's what I think they are a little bit jealous. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the Blackmores, like they're dicks, but like they got you can't deny they've got style.
Yeah. Oh my God. Incredible.
Yeah. So anyway, he's wearing that. Also, so there's like an after party / ball. And I love that Emmy is like, yeah, my parents like don't like socializing. So like they did like one drink and then they left. But like I have to stay because I'm the arbiter. I was like, honestly, I relate to her parents so hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. Well, okay, here's my question. Which family would you rather be a part of?
I mean,
of the four families.
I don't know. Well, are you pitching from the discussion questions at the end of the book? Objectively,
what? Oh, no. I turned off the audiobook before we got through the discussion questions. But see, like, okay, so like in terms of like family business, the Harlows sound the best. Like they just run a cool bookshop. They have a cozy little house and they run a cool bookshop. But then there's like type of magic, and I feel like the Blackmores objectively had the coolest type of magic.
Yeah, I
think the Avramovs like have cool magic, but like it would scare me. And then the Avramovs are also like all super close, and I think that would be too much for me.
I think the Linden family, whatever the fuck they are, the Trussell, what the fuck are they called?
Thorns.
The Thorns. I think that's the way to go. They have an awesome orchard. It seems nice. Their parents are nice. They're like a nice family. I don't know.
Yeah.
They seem objectively the most like chill,
cool.
Except that they're like poor now. I'm sick.
Oh, okay.
We meet Emmy's grandma, who's like really cool.
She was the previous like arbiter, so like she knows. She was like, yeah, what a rush. Like it's like drugs.
Right. She's like, yeah, she's like the best lay of your life. Like I still wake up thinking about it.
Like, thank you, grandma.
And then it's time for the first task. I feel like so Emmy puts on the mantle again, and like the magic kind of like speaks through her. And I feel like that reminds me of like the Bible when it's like the Holy Spirit will speak, you know, like that kind of thing.
She's
I never understood. I just remember learning about that. Not even speaking in tongues. Not at all. I remember just like learning about that as a kid, and it would be like, go out and like whatever the fuck, like talk to the Gentiles and like don't worry about what you're gonna say because you'll get up there and like the Holy Spirit will speak through you. And I always remember thinking like, how the fuck would that? I don't understand that. Like it sounds like a superpower, but like how the fuck would that work? You know, like I wish that would happen when I'm giving a presentation. You know, to not have to prepare. She could lightning strike things, which is really fucking cool. I would just like to say.
She just has really sick powers. Like she's basically the most powerful thing out there when she's wearing the mantle. So the first task is basically like you have to get this magic flower from the center of the magic lake,
like
that's at the center of the magic town. And Talia and Rowan team up. to take down Gareth, and he's like taken by surprise, so he gets like, you know, taken down or whatever. And then the Blackmores are like, what the fuck? That's cheating. Like, what is this? Blah, 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 blah. And the Blackmore matriarch, Grandma Blackmore, rolls on up. Forget her name. I called her Grandma in every one of my notes. But before we get into what she says, Rachel, I have a question for you. Grandma Blackmore has a widow's peak. How did that make you feel?
I didn't notice that, frankly.
How does that make you feel now, finding that out?
I still stand that I have a widow's peak. Not really, but
Rachel,
I didn't notice that.
Rachel spent like a week in the middle of the pandemic trying to convince everyone that she had a widow's peak.
I had one. Maybe I don't now, but I did.
No, you don't, Rachel. We just have light baby hairs. We have very light baby hair
in the shape of a widow's peak, though.
Oh my god. Anyway, so the grandma had a widow's peak.
Okay, who cares? She's a bitch. Grandma B is accurate. Okay, so then they all go celebrate in the spooky Avramov. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna say. You called her.
Wait,
the spooky Avramov forest. What?
You're skipping over a cat reference. So basically, Grandma B is like yelling at her and accusing her of like being whatever, and then Emmy is like, "How dare you question me?" And the magic hissed and sparked inside me like a cat at peak aggression.
Oh my god!
So the magic's inside her is going
like a mean cat reference. It's mean.
It's feeling a little bitey today. I also want to point out that Talia keeps flinging Emmy semi-feral smiles. So, okay, it's another cat.
But dogs too.
Yeah, but like,
I guess. I mean, normally, yes. It's just that I got overwhelming dog vibes from this book. Like zero cat at all, personally. So now they're going to go celebrate in the Abramovs' spooky woods. And it kind of sucks that the Harlows like don't have any lands like this at all. Like they don't have like a cool orchard or a Camelot or like a whatever. It's yet another way that they're robbed.
They don't have an estate.
And basically they're all like walking over and there's this really nice like spread of like food. It looks really good. Ooh. And literally they're all independently like, oh my God, is it like, it's like Persephone food. Like we shouldn't eat it because it's like cursed or whatever. And it turns out like Talia like makes a joke about that, but then she's like, they're like, well, where'd you actually get it from? Like, is it whatever? And she's like, I don't know. My cousin went to Whole Foods and like this is what she came back with. Ask my cousin. Like she's the one who got it, picked it up.
It does
sound hilarious.
So delicious though. There's like braided bread and like cheese. I was like, oh damn.
I'm surprised. Yeah, and the grapes. I'm surprised that Whole Foods in Illinois can sell alcohol. But maybe that's just because like where we're from is like the one place you normally can't. And like now you can. But
it has to be in like a separate part of the store.
Well, sure, but it's like always in Pennsylvania. It's always gonna be like its own aisle. Yeah, there has to be like seating too, like a dining area. In Texas, it's like literally gas stations, like crazy.
Anyway, hard pass on the spooky woods, but yes to the bonfire and excellent food. And Lyndon and Rowan leave ostensibly because they're like, we're plant people and we don't like the spooky woods. But it's definitely because they're trying to like set Talia and Emmy up. Like Lyndon's like, wink, nudge, nudge.
Then they have their first kiss and it's cute. There's also like spooky trees that are haunted.
Yeah, the spooky trees all
so bad for the
spooky trees. They make out and then the ghosts surround them because they're just like canonically horny and like watching people.
Like, why are the ghosts evil? Like, it's so weird that
they're not evil. They're just like otherworldly.
Sure, but they'll like be mean to like living things. It doesn't make sense. It seems rude.
I don't think so.
They'll like distort you if they haunt you. They mangle you. Like they like fuck you up. They fuck up the trees.
Well, yeah.
You don't want to be haunted.
Well, because it's like rude. Unnatural or whatever.
Well, then why are they
But
doing
I would
it?
like to say that Talia summons a spirit that she like is her friend or whatever, and the spirit leans into her hand like a cat.
Okay. I will say this. So I wrote like right after this, I wrote down like I forgot about dog Jasper. Where's he been? Does a missing dog raise the cat scale? So
nice. I will also say that Talia taking Emmy like deeper into the spooky woods to like show her ghosts is actually like you wouldn't think it's a good flirting technique, but I would argue that it actually is a great flirting technique because trauma bonding.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, best way to
true.
immediately develop a connection.
It's true. I think the next thing is that she has like the heart to heart with Lyndon. So they go hang out in the orchards like they used to. And we find out that Gareth, like, I don't know, stalking Light. Like, Lyndon blocked him on everything, and yet he still was like trying to track her down and like following her around town to like try to get her back, which they start using the insult jagbag, which is like jerk off and douchebag. And then Lyndon's like starts crying. Like, this is when they have their heart to heart about like Lyndon feeling like she was left behind and like how Emmy just like disappeared on her.
She's like, sometimes I think you don't care whether we're like we're still friends. And Emmy in the back of her mind is like,
that's exactly what she thought that. Yeah,
kind of what I thought. We were on the same page about that.
And then she's like, how could I have thought that when Lyndon Thorne was such an essential part of me? The two of us braided into each other like trees grafted together when they were only saplings.
Aww.
I don't know.
Yeah, the friendship is so soft. And I just like around them, they're in Lyndon's family sunflower seeds, and the sunflowers sing like a cappella versions of emo songs. So I'm just imagining like they're having their heart to heart, and in the background the sunflowers are like, when I was a young boy, my father took me into the city.
Why?
They sing a cappella versions of emo songs.
Oh, okay.
Of like early 2000s emo songs. That's what it is.
Or they say like, you thought the sunflowers were singing it.
Oh, no, wait. The sunflowers are singing. The sunflowers are charmed to sing a cappella versions of emo songs.
Well, that's a terrible emo song. It's such
Throughout this whole, well, tonight will be the night that I will fall.
Oh my God, stop it. I can't right now. Stop it. I can't. It's so irritating.
Just the whole scene. That's
I would tear them right up. Anyway, there's also one that like plays chess against you, right? That she used to play chess against.
Yeah. So Lyndon, so they have this heart to heart, and they're like, they like renew their friendship or whatever. But I did realize this that Lyndon was like, Lyndon's like essentially warning Emmy about like, she's like, don't mess with Talia's feelings, because like we learned earlier, like Talia has like a secret heartbreak. Like she just like got out of a really like bad breakup
before Gareth.
Yeah. And Lyndon's basically just like, don't, like, Talia is gonna like fall hard and fast, and like, you're leaving, like, you're still saying that you're leaving, like, don't fuck with her feelings, you don't fall hard and fast. And just the way she's describing Emmy is like the typical emotionally unavailable toxic man, she's like, you don't, like, by the time people like develop feelings, like, you're like you don't know, then like when they develop feelings, like, you leave.
No, see, I found that that's not at all how she said it. And I felt like this was very relatable. She's like, it takes you longer to develop feelings, and when people get there before you, it makes you feel guilty, and that's why you leave, which I totally like can see. Like, you feel guilty. You're like, I don't feel the same as they feel. I shouldn't be like, I feel like the typical like toxic man is to like ride that out and like take advantage of the fact that they like you more than you like that, So I feel like, I mean, I don't think there's anything you're not inherently emotionally unavailable or like toxic just because you don't like get infatuated with people. In fact, I would say it's not healthy necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was just like looking at it as like she holds people at arm's length. Maybe it's a reach. Yeah. I didn't think about it too deeply. So after that, I just want to point out Emmy lights a candle like with her magic. She basically like uses her magic officially for the first time. Mm-hmm. And she's just internally, she's like, wow, I'm happier than I've been in years. And I'm like, how strange. Maybe you should consider what this means. And she's like, I will not. Talia, Emmy, and Lyndon are reading about the history of the gauntlet, like to try to see if they can get any like ideas of what the next task will be. And it's presented as something that like takes a long time for them to do, except this is only the 6th one, not the 7th one. I said it like I was like, so you're only reading 5. Like, it only happens every 50 years. Like, Illinois like has not had white people for that long. Like how much exactly do you have to read? Like, how long is this history,
how much
really?
They wrote. Yeah, that's true.
There's only like 5 of them.
Yeah,
and 3 tasks and 3 people reading. Like, how long is this supposed to take?
And there isn't basically like an overarching theme, except that like speed is important. And one of the things like they had to do one time was like diving into salted caramel quicksand, which is like horrifying. And like, so the arbiter has like enhanced senses. Like, does it let her like save people if they're gonna die? Because I feel like you would definitely die diving into salted caramel quicksand. Like, what the fuck?
That is what they were warning us about when they presented quicksand as like a much bigger danger.
Yeah. It's even more dangerous if it's salty.
Yeah. I also want to bring this up. So they keep swearing on their witch's soul, like when they're like they want to like say that they're serious about something. They're like, I swear on my witch's soul. And I would like to know, like, what is the difference between a witch's soul and a human soul, and how does like Edward Cullen factor into this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine that there's like a secondary part, be like a bonus soul. I don't know.
You have two? Yeah, like what's the difference?
You have
like,
two.
Do witch souls not to get to go to heaven? Like, what's up?
It's like bonus heaven. It lets you like travel back and forth, maybe. Right? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. We have ghosts. Yeah. Anyway, I was like, do you think like Edward Cullen's jealous? He's like, they're supernatural creatures and they get souls, but I don't.
Oh my God. Well, he probably wouldn't believe it, you know? Well, okay. No, it's interesting that you brought up some of the Mormon aspects of Twilight, because maybe I should wait to bring this up, but like their fucking ancestor is basically witch Joseph Smith in a way. But we'll get to that. Yeah.
It's true. The Harlow ancestor.
Yeah.
Also, so Lyndon like leaves. She's like, oh, I got a blast. I like to point out that she has a vegan leather purse. And I know this because she's like a nature witch TM, but like vegan leather, listener, in case you want to know, like vegan leather is the greatest scam, like ego scam capitalism has ever pulled in terms of like trying to brand something as like eco-friendly.
Oh, yes.
Like
100%.
Like, vegan leather is just plastic. I need you all to understand this. It's just plastic. It is so much worse for the environment.
What I will say, or is anyone branding it as I feel like the environment is not the major reason most people buy
it's like
leather.
Marketed as like, oh, like you care about animals, you care about the environment.
We care about animals. Full stop.
I understand. No, but it's also like eco, like it's marketed as eco-friendly. That's like part of the
no, it's totally,
and it's not. And also like, again, if you really want to be eco-friendly and if you really want to be like good for the animals too, just like thrift.
Sure, but that'll run out at some point. Like that's not everyone can't just constantly thrift leather products for the end of time.
It's never gonna run out.
I don't like vegan leather. It's just also like terrible usually. It's just like poor quality, like horrible for everything.
Anyway, friends, don't be scammed by vegan leather. Yeah, so then she leaves and then Talia yawns, quote, with the languor of a rousing cat. I told you she's constantly compared to a cat. So they go get coffee and Emmy is like, oh, do they have like good coffee here? Me. And like she's just being really pretentious about it and she gets rightfully called out. And then Emmy's like, I'm the kind of like fiend who can drink coffee this late in the afternoon. And I'm like, I just never understood that. I know that's a thing. And I know like the general health advice is like, don't drink coffee past like noon or whatever, like X amount of hours before you go to sleep. But like I regularly like will drink like a fucking cold brew and then take a nap immediately afterward. Like, wait, but caffeine does not affect my ability to sleep.
Well, you also like won't drink coffee like on the weekends. I guess you're just also not addicted to it. Well, you just like don't drink it.
No,
like,
I'm not addicted to caffeine.
Well, how can you not be if you don't drink it that regularly?
It's never affected my ability to sleep. Like there's definitely been times like, especially when I first started drinking cold brew, like I was like, I feel the caffeine buzz. But I could always still immediately take a nap if I like my ability to fall asleep is unparalleled.
I'm jealous. My ability to fall asleep is definitely not unparalleled, but it's also not really. Yeah, the caffeine thing does not really.
Yeah, it's like not affected.
Oh, I have a chair in my office that I recently found out is a recliner. Oh yeah, we are cooking with oil, baby.
Yeah. Oh, you're cooking, Frankie.
Yeah. Anyway,
no, totally separate. I just came to the point in which I wrote this in my notes about the magical spouses things. So we discussed like what happens if like two witches from different families combine. Okay. Say one family, one person's a normie, one person's a witch. The normie, they get married, the normie gets powers. What happens if they divorce?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Like, are you just like locked and loaded?
Do they get to keep it?
I would assume you get to keep it. Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
It seemed fair enough to that.
Pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Someone write fan fiction of this that's like marriage of convenience. Like one person just wants magic. The other person, like, I don't know.
Yeah, like
whatever.
how does it work? It doesn't really, it seems like if they can do that, they could just give everyone magic. So why are they being so like,
well, it is implied at one point it is talking about how there are definitely like dormant witches like throughout the United States. Like it's like a throwaway line somewhere.
It's a throwaway line. It's about like, oh yeah, we always like figure there's probably witches elsewhere. We've never like bothered to find that. It gives very like Twilight, like we must be the first ones ever. Although they do like recognize the possibility, but they're not like curious at all. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
well, they can't go leave to explore them, Rachel. They'll lose their magic.
Yeah, the Thistle Grove dependency, which spoiler alert was completely voluntary, is so fucking stupid. It makes me so angry. It's such a cult move. It's such a like cult. Like why
Baba Yaga would be so ashamed.
Yeah. Oh my god. We also just this isn't really like part of it, but like Talia's family, like still, I guess all the families, like they live in like a big house together. And Emmy, this is another thing about Emmy. She's like, oh, I can't imagine. Like I need my own bare apartment in Chicago to myself. Like Talia's like, yeah, but also we're basically just like, we can play impoverished British royalty. Like we have like our own space or whatever. It's just like, we can all just like hang out. I'm like, wow, it's great.
Yeah.
The dream.
She's like, don't worry. The house is so big. I have plenty of privacy.
Yeah.
Wink,
Talia
wink, nudge, nudge.
is basically like so different from like, you're given this like view of her as like goth, less like feeling, like not as like you would think. I don't know. I guess you would just like assume that that's like you're more independent or whatever. But then she's like the complete opposite. She's like such a like soft girl. I don't know what the word is.
She's a toasted marshmallow.
But it's not even like she's pretending to be anything else except in her like aesthetic and like macabre references. Like she's so like her values are like so more in line with mine. Like, and versus Emmy is just like stupid. Like I don't know.
Emmy needs some therapy and a good old self-confidence boost.
Yeah.
But they go on their first real date. They go get sushi, and basically Talia is like, yeah, I like won't ever leave Thistle Grove because like I don't like your magic like weakens basically as soon as you start leaving, and then it eventually disappears. And Emmy internally is like, oh, I feel sorry for her that like she can't explore the world. And I'm like, again, magic.
No, magic. I do. No,
so much cooler.
No. This is the one thing I'm with Emmy on. Like her reasons for wanting to go back to Chicago are whack. Like she's like, I just really want to go to my office job every day and have that be the primary part of my day. And I'm like, girl, like what? But the idea of never being able to even travel, like you can't even go on vacation.
No, but they can.
But she won't. Talia won't.
But that's what I'm saying. Talia takes the extreme view, and the way her character changes by the end, she's like, yeah, maybe I can leave a little bit. But like Emmy's dad leaves and gets like rare books. Emmy's grandma goes. Like it's implied that other people go on vacation. Her grandma is like constantly traveling.
No, well then why are you roasting Emmy for like feeling bad for Talia about not leaving?
Because I don't know, just the way like it's phrased in her head, like it's like, oh, like she's choosing magic, and I'm like, it's magic.
Maybe
I don't know. Maybe I was just like so like I was like just like Emmy. I just like don't understand why you're giving it magic. I just don't.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like what does the magic do for them on a day-to-day basis?
Like, it's just fucking cool.
I guess
superiority complex.
Would you really never? Yeah, but you can't like do anything. I don't know. Would you really never want to leave square mile? Yeah, I know you can. I know. But that's not what. But Talia isn't. So that's what Emmy's like not pitying her for, but like judging her for. I guess I don't know. Anyway, they go back, they make out, they take shots, they say Nazdravya, which is like Nazdravya. I guess that's how you say it, cheers in Russian too. Jasper the Schnauzer loves Talia when he usually only loves Emmy, which increases the dog scale, as it were.
Talia, quote, prowled around the perimeter of the room like a cat pacing out new territory.
Oh my God. And I would just like to say that Emmy is staying in her parents' guest house, which I'm assuming is like not that big. So does Jasper have to watch them make out this whole time? Like,
no, it's a guest
kind
house.
Of insensitive.
So it has multiple rooms.
Seems a little insensitive. All right. Like, protect his virtue.
Jasper's not there. He's not watching. But yeah, they have sexy tattoo time where basically like Emmy explains all of her tattoos. We get more about Emmy's backstory. Emmy used to have like long blonde, like dirty blonde, like witch hair. Like it was like down to her butt or whatever.
It was like colors,
super sick. And she has since like cut it to her like an asymmetrical bob and like dyed it black, and she's like, I'm establishing who I am without magic. And I'm like, that is literally like the lamest shit I've ever heard. I was like, that is the dumbest fucking reason. Like,
can I just say it literally just does not compute for me how people dye their hair all the time. Like, how do you have the patience for that? I just don't understand
that.
It takes so long, and like for your roots not to show. Especially if you're blonde dyeing it dark, it's gonna look like you're balding, and it takes hours.
I know, that's as someone who very briefly went dark, like it looks like you're balding very quickly.
So insane to me that people do that. Like it's wild. It's like you take like an entire Saturday every 2 weeks. It's the same way of people who like clean their whole houses. I'm like, do you just like devote your entire weekend to that? Like, I don't understand.
I mean, more power to you.
No, I mean, that's great. Like, I'm not like, I mean, whatever. It's like awesome. Do what you want. But it's just like, it just seems like such, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it just seems like such a intense, and like, I feel like people think of it as the same as like, oh, getting your nails done, or like, I don't know, like, I don't even know what else, like putting on makeup or something. But it just seems like so much more intense.
But even like getting your nails done on a regular basis, I'm like, how do you, like people who do it like once a week, who get like a new set.
Yeah. I guess that's like nice at least.
I mean, it's not the same thing for me, but I'm just like, man, like,
no, it's like it's like you get someone else's. Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? I guess like if you were going to like a hair appointment and having someone else do it for you, like could be maybe like a little relaxing, kind of. I just don't understand how you do it yourself.
So yeah, they're like making out or whatever. We have a moment in which Talia says her name for the first time, and it was like a very historical romance moment. Like, because she's been calling her Harlow this whole time.
I feel like it doesn't even need to be. I get what you're saying because they say like Miss whatever, but like I don't even think it needs to be that, because I feel like you really underestimate the number of times that people say your name in every day-to-day life. I feel like
in this specific context, though, it's because she's been calling her Harlow the whole time.
I understand. I'm saying we didn't even need that for this to be plausible. Like, you could have this trope in a much more. I feel like what I'm saying is this is an underutilized trope. We could have this much more than we have it. It doesn't need to be that they've been calling them something else. It could just be that they never even said it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they make up. Her mom comes because she sees her light on. Her like mom comes over to like with like tea to chat. She's knocking at the door and she doesn't open the door for her mom. And I understand like why.
And then, I know.
I was like, and then she doesn't even go see her mom after.
No. It's like we hear her slippers shuffling away back to the house. Like, that broke my heart.
I was so sad. I mean, thankfully,
I was like, Emmy,
she has a chat with her mom the next morning, like in the morning. But yeah, like Talia leaves, and I was like, Emmy, go talk to your mom. I know, it was so sad. So then her and her mom have a heart-to-heart, and Emmy finds out that her mom knew about Gareth the whole time. And she was like, oh, you knew? And her mom was like, yeah, fucking mom.
It's like other people have like can perceive things the same way that I can.
She was like, you literally would not stop talking about him that summer, and then you stopped talking about him and were sad. Like, of course. Like, what do you
mean? Like, what?
And also we find out that like the reason she hasn't seen her parents in 5 years, like, it's not only just because she hasn't gone back to the town, but like they haven't visited her.
That's what I was thinking.
At first you hear that and you're like, oh, why the fuck wouldn't they visit her? But then you find out that Emmy like basically made it clear in all but like explicit terms that like she didn't want them visiting her.
Oh.
So I was like, Emmy.
Oh, I missed that.
No, yeah. I was like, oh, you bitch. I was like, yeah. But she's constantly having these moments. She's like, wow. Like throughout the book, she's like, wow, like my actions had consequences that affected other people. Who could have believed it? But I mean, like, I understand, like, you make a decision when you're 18 and you don't think about it, and then you're just like living in it for so long that like
It also seems like, at least from Emmy's perspective, and I don't know if she's like an unreliable narrator on this, but it seems like her family that she grew up in was not very like affectionate, really. And
No, they weren't very like emotionally vulnerable with each other.
Even like physical affection or anything.
Yeah. I mean, she says that at the beginning. She's like, we're just not that kind of family. Yeah. We keep it like close to ourselves.
Yeah, which is so interesting because it's funny because all the things that she said were like familiar about her house. Gave me the vibe of like a very like facially cozy, but like not actually cozy. You know what I mean? Like the kind of furniture that looks like it should be comfortable, but like isn't, and everything's like stiff and like just the opposite of like what I would think of as like what I grew up with, you know, like what's comfortable, what's like homey.
It is just interesting though how like they have that dynamic, but like also their vibe is like books and like cozy drinks and like candles and like things that you would think would like go along with like a close family. No. But then like Talia, like the family's exterior vibe is like spooky and dark and ghost, but like they're really close and like.
See, that's the thing, like candles and like formal drinks. I don't know how to describe it. That does not give me cozy vibe. So she's also like this whole time she's like, it's almost like I miss Talia almost. She also goes to talk to her Nana, who, quote, has the social calendar of a Bridgerton debutante.
Yes.
That's how I knew it had to be post-pandemic. Because I mean, she could have read the Bridgerton books, but I just didn't think a reference like that would have made it without the Bridgerton show.
She would have said like Regency debutante.
Yes,
she wouldn't
historical
have said Bridgerton.
Yeah. Or maybe she would have, but like it, I don't know, probably wouldn't have been as like widely applicable. Like not as many people would have gotten it. And she's like telling her, this is where we really got the town aesthetic like full on. She's like, I told her about how I'd taken to going on long midday walks to take advantage of the fall weather. The sunshine is so pure, it almost felt medicinal, like taking a book and a hot chocolate to the lake like I used to. And I was like, oh, I'd love to go to Thistle Grove.
Yeah, so it's the second task. Woohoo, they have to battle various plant monsters. Like one of them is made out of apples, and one of them is pumpkins, and one of them is sunflowers. And oh no, Gareth gets it. The only thing that I like really have to note about this is that like the way that the sunflower monster, who is the one that I think has to fight Rowan, the way that it's like she's described in like a weirdly like sexy way, like it's like her flowing like leafy hair, and she's like has like curvy, like I just remember being like the other two monsters are just like big, you know, things made out of like these specific plants, but like I was like, why is the sunflower like, what does this mean? Like, why is the sunflower one sexy? I don't understand. And it was yet another monsters versus aliens callback for me.
Oh my god. Need to watch that movie.
Yeah, we have to watch that movie. I can't believe you've never seen it.
I have it. Oh my gosh.
It's incredible. It's a beautiful story about found family and friendship and loving yourself. And aliens.
Oh my god.
Okay, so after Gareth wins the second task, they're like, let's invite the elders in on the scheme. Which I was like, why didn't you do this from the beginning? Like, these people clearly all know way like more cheating. Magic than you. Yeah. Well, none of them think they're cheating. All of them are like, I mean, it's technically fine. But basically all of them are like useless. And then Emmy has a heart-to-heart with her grandmother, where her grandmother is basically like, hey, once again, please consider whether you're actually happy in Chicago and maybe analyze why you cut your hair and left. She gets psychoanalyzed and like read to filth by her grandmother, which like I really enjoy. I just feel like this, like the second half of this book was just one like scene after the other of like Emmy like being roasted and psychoanalyzed by people who are like, think about it. Think about your life. Think about your choices.
All right, so now it's time for the seance with the cool heirloom. And we see Talia's room. It's like cool and witchy. And then for some reason, Emmy's like, oh, and there's this awesome mirror that like obviously isn't part of Talia's chosen decor. I don't know why. Like she's like, she could never have picked out something this cool.
No, because I think the way it's described is like Talia's room. It's like, it's cool, but it's not the like dark, spooky, like whatever, like goth girl vibe.
I thought it was.
No, that Emmy was expecting. She was like, oh, it's like not goth girl, but like this mirror is like the spooky goth girl vibe. And so like it stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And the mirror is basically like a spooky magic mirror. And they talk to her ancestor that helped found the town. And she's great. She's also a sexy goth witch. I would let this woman eat my heart any day, I think.
No, thank you. What? That's fucking weird. I hate her. I hate the way that all the ghosts in this are like total assholes, like sort of for no reason. Like we're not supposed to totally hate them, but they can also like fuck you up for no reason. But like you're their ancestors, so, like why are you being a bitch? Like I don't know. I just don't like it.
She really wasn't. She was just
no.
being,
I know,
like,
but they're like scared of her. Like they're like wary of her, and like she definitely could. Like I don't know.
Talia isn't. She gets the Avramov's scion every year on their birthday gets like a happy birthday message from the ancestor.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, that's why the lady's
She's
like,
why
it can't be
are
your
you
birthday
summoning
already?
me now? It is not even your birthday.
Yeah. Which is so weird. Like, why?
I just think that's so cute. It's hilarious. Okay. So the Dread Lady is basically like, hello. First of all, she's like, oh, you're a Harlow. We would have been nothing without Elias. And they're both like, huh? Without the note taker? What does that mean? File that away. And then also the Dread Lady is basically, she looks into the future and she's just like, teamwork, babes.
And this is when, so she's described as looking a lot like Talia. And I'm like, I just feel like if you look like your ancestor from like 200 plus years ago, like that, you don't get that without some serious inbreeding in this fucking town.
You know what I was going to use as a counter example, and then I realized that it wasn't actually a counter example. It was like a support of your claim.
What?
I think it's Princess Eugenie.
Mm-hmm.
She's like the ginger one. She looks like exactly like Queen Victoria did as young Queen Victoria, and I was like, well, that's her like great grandma. And then I was like, well, no, the British royal family is super inbred, so that checks out.
Yep. Oh, something cool about the mirror is that Emmy can tell that the Dread Lady is speaking a different language. Why are we calling her the Dread Lady? That's such an obnoxious. What's her actual name? I'm gonna call her that.
I didn't write it down.
Out of disrespect,
I forgot it.
I'm
That's
gonna
why I
call
called
her
the
that.
Dread Lady.
She can tell that she's speaking not English, but she's like, the bespelled mirror has a Babel fish effect. I thought it was a Babel fish, but it's from Hitchhikers, which is fun.
Well, Talia's like, oh, it's gonna rain. And Emmy's like, it's already raining by the lake, and she like knows how the weather is in the whole town, and they're like, that's weird, but like she feels it. And then they have some sexy times, and it's great. They make each other come many times.
It's pretty closed door though, overall, I would say. And we finally get an answer on why Talia doesn't have any tattoos. It's because she wants to be, quote, an ink virgin, because she's saving herself for that extra special person to like get matching tattoos with.
I was like, that's the cutest and dumbest fucking thing. And I'm like roast her for it. And I was like,
yeah, like,
I understand the roasting, but it's also really fucking cute.
What if the person you end up with doesn't want to get tattoos? Like what? But also I did enjoy just the overall thing in this book of like the person without tattoos being the one getting asked, like, why don't you have any? You know, instead, I feel like no one ever, it's always like, oh, why did you get that tattoo? Like, why'd you get that tattoo? You know? It's never like the opposite. You're never going to meet someone and they're going to be like, why don't you have any tattoos? Why? Why?
Hey, Rachel, why don't you have any tattoos?
Prove that I don't.
Well,
that'd be my answer.
Why, like, we still need to get our matching sibling tattoos.
I know. Well, Allison, I want to be an ink virgin.
Yeah, you get matching tattoos with us.
Yeah, let's do it.
Me and Stefan, the loves of your life.
Let's get it. Hi, Stefan. Okay. We also learn about Talia's ex, Jessica, who's been like alluded to by several characters, by like Lyndon, by Talia, by like random people as like, we just know it's a dramatic relationship, like broke her heart, whatever. And it turns out that Jessica came to town to work in the evil Blackmore Camelot fair, which like already red flag number one. And like, I guess you are allowed to tell outsiders. Like, I have no idea how that works with the glamour. Like, can you just like remove it at will for people? You know, like maybe if you tell them explicitly, it sticks. I don't know, but Talia tells her, and like, but Jessica basically likes to travel. She's a globe trotter, like hashtag sun salute. And basically she doesn't want to stay in a small town with someone she's known for max like 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not ready to condemn Jessica. And I think Talia has been very unreasonable in refusing to even travel, because it seems like Jessica would be happy to stay in the town and travel just like everyone else in the town.
Yeah.
You
but
know?
also, like, it's not like she couldn't, like, she could leave. Again, you can travel without your partner.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
You don't have to
but maybe she didn't want to like ever have a home base. Like she just wanted to travel like constantly,
Maybe.
you know?
Yeah.
Which, fair. I mean, it's not fair, but it's like obviously that's not going to work.
But also, like, Jess knew about magic.
Oh, right.
She knew about magic and chose to leave.
That's true. That's true. I did think about that as I was reading, and then I forgot. But yeah, no, that's whack. I take it back. Jessica's
I just
like
if I found out my partner, like,
and
if
then
I like marry my partner and I get magical powers,
maybe that was like this would be an Alistair move, and honestly, he wouldn't necessarily be wrong. Maybe like you can know about magic, but until you actually like
Alistair,
the ancestor, the scribe, the Harlow guy.
Oh, Elias.
But maybe you don't find out that you get magic too until like you actually seal the deal.
Yeah.
So that people don't like.
Maybe I know, but still, like,
you know, like
magic exists.
From a selfish perspective, me as a normie who doesn't know that I'll be able to do magic, what am I getting out of this deal?
Maybe, I don't know. She was also very judgy of Talia's family and how like close they were.
Yeah, that's true. No, Jessica sucks.
But then basically Talia's like, where are we? What's the status of our relationship? And Emmy's like, you always knew there was an expiration date. And Talia was like, you're a coward, basically. And like they get in a fight.
And then Emmy says something like about Talia's family. She's like, their emphasis on individual freedom above all else, which seems like the opposite.
It seems like the best of both worlds, honestly. Like emotionally there for each other, supportive, but also like each very much individuals. Like that sounds like a very healthy dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. And then Talia's like, well, maybe you could like Emmy's like, I love my job. And Talia's like, well, maybe you could like work remotely. And Emmy's like, that's not how a real job works. And I just want to slap her. I'm like, get out of here, girl. Like what year are you living in?
Dumb.
And Talia's like, well, a lot of what you can do at home. And I was like, good, call her out, Talia. Like, get out of here. You don't need to be in a fucking office. Like
Talia's like, you have been doing, like, Emmy's technically on sabbatical, but she's been like checking in on email. Like we get like scenes where she's like, yeah, I did a little bit of work this morning. And Talia's like, I've literally like sat next to you as you did work. Like what?
See, I've met people that are older that are brainwashed like that, but have you ever met anyone like our age who's brainwashed like that? Because I have, and it's just like a wild experience. Like you're Gen Z or millennial, and you like a young millennial, and you somehow still think that you need to be in a fucking office to do any white collar job. Like what are we living in the same planet?
If you do your job on the computer, there's like very little reason you need to actually be in the office. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's it. That's the distinction.
Right. And the people who are like, oh, I just want to be there for the culture to meet people, like that's I disagree with that argument, but like that's at least like an opinion you can have. But if you're like, no, I literally couldn't do my job, like what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that's
So anyway, they fight.
Paris Falls.
They fight Paris Falls. It's a Twilight reference, FYI.
If you listen to our episode
and also
on
Romeo and
Moon,
Juliet, theoretically, but yeah.
It was Stephanie Meyer wrote it first, and Shakespeare just plagiarized her.
He is jack of all trades, master of none, derogatory, as it were. So.
And Stephanie Meyer is a master of one, and that one is vampire romance. Basically, they like break up.
And then Emmy goes out to hang with Lyndon and eat Chinese food. And she's like, I should have known better than to self-soothe with so much MSG. Which, like, get out of here. What is this, like, racist MSG slander in 2021 whenever this book came out? No. People, MSG is not – there's nothing wrong with it. It's salt. No, there's nothing special. There's nothing –
Yeah. So, like, Emmy tells her everything. And Lyndon is basically like, well, like, you could – work from home. Like that would be very easy for you to do. And Emmy is basically Emmy eventually gets to the point where she very grudgingly is like, I guess. Lyndon was like, everything Talia said was pretty reasonable.
Yeah, like, are you sure she's not right? And then so time for the third task.
And it's at Camelot. Third task is magic Jeopardy.
Yeah, basically, but like physical like stuff. And I thought it was funny that like Gareth, I forget what he says, but he like gets mad / accuses Talia of like cheating, quote unquote, which I thought was pretty ironic considering he was the one that cheated on like her, basically. Like, really? This is how we're gonna play it, Gareth?
Birds of feather flock together.
Yeah, suck on that. Yeah.
So anyway, Gareth is like about to win, but Talia and Rowan are like, not on my watch, bitch. And at some point before this, they figured out that like because Thorn and Avramov magics are like the complete opposite, like life and death, basically. They're like, well, if we, shoot our magic at each other, it can create a bubble of antimatter or something.
Yeah, like a dark magic black hole.
Like, what? Yeah, I don't came out of left field. I was like, is this Interstellar?
Yeah, and basically like it blocks all his spells, like he can't and they do this, and then like basically I forget what happens, but like somehow he gets out of it and like accidentally like shatters it into Talia.
Oh, well, no. So what it is, so they're shooting it and it's like really hard. It's like taking a lot of their magic, and then Talia's like, Rowan, like go get the like the prize because like you're the only one that doesn't have one. Like I've already had one. So like Rowan gets it, and then because it's like weakened, Gareth like punches a hole in it and like sends like a shard of antimatter. Sends a super massive black hole, if you will, punts it like a Twilight vampire, and it like hits Talia in the chest.
Okay, yeah, and can I say, like, I don't know, I guess the problem is that the fact that he does it like after the challenge is already over, so it's kind of like
he's
oil
already
hitting
lost.
it, and he's just mad.
It's like a temper tantrum. That's what he's doing it. Yeah,
but I still think, I mean, like you created literally a black hole. Like, how is that not dangerous? I feel like that would definitely pose
it definitely is. Like they definitely shouldn't have done it, but that's what I was just thinking because I forgot until I looked at my notes that he did it after he already lost.
That was the thing I noticed.
I wrote he throws a pissy magic bomb.
Yeah.
And fills Talia with ghosts.
But also, what the fuck? Like it's so weird. Shouldn't they have known that like it would cause a tie? Like why have Lyndon do it instead of Talia,
I know,
it just seems like poor planning. Yeah, but that they knew they would have to do a tiebreaker, right? Like, what did they think was going to happen?
I don't know.
They're all like co-leaders or something. Like,
they're
I don't
noble. Understand. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So Talia gets filled with ghosts. She just gets.
That's possessed. What I'm saying. Like, what? And they're like coming in more and more. So they suck. Like, they don't care about like hurting people on this side. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's just more like they want to come over. You know what it is? It's like a thunderstorm moving from a high pressure area to a low pressure. Like, oh my God, it can't help it. Like it just gets sucked in. Like it's not the hurricane's fault. It's just like how it works.
This is not giving me a lot of confidence for like being dead in this world. You know what I mean? Because they all hate it. Like I just feel like if I was,
but they can go beyond. There's definitely like an afterlife that doesn't involve potentially getting sucked into like, a young millennial girl's body because she created a black hole.
Yikes.
But the Avramovs all have to like band together to like, get the ghosts out of her. But what I thought was funny was that like her mom comes up and like Emmy's like, oh my God, like is she gonna like go insane or whatever? And the mom is like, well, actually, like the very first thing that we teach the Avramov witches is how to like resist a ghost possession. So she has the training.
Oh my God. Why aren't the ghosts more chill? Like, why are they so mean? I don't know.
It's like a hurricane, Rachel. They can't help it. They're just getting the vacuum.
Anyway.
The like antimatter vacuum is like sucking them through, and like they're just hanging out, like playing chess in the ghost world, and like they suddenly just get sucked up in the sky. Like it's not their fault.
Anyway, so while they're all dealing with this, Blackmore grandma comes over and she's like, well, the show must go on, tick tock. And they're all like, what the fuck, lady? Like what's her face? Talia's gonna die. And she's like, well, it's in the rules. And then like
it has to start
Emmy
immediately.
Is like, the magic compels me. Yeah, like she's right, it does.
But the grandma does, like everyone rightfully is like, what the fuck? Like, what is wrong with you?
Right. So obviously, the Abramovs like wouldn't have a champion basically because they need every single one of them to like save Talia to do the seance or whatever. So Emmy steps in and she's like, it's gonna be May, and then she
because there's a loophole.
Yeah,
because basically like no one from any of the competing families can like fill in as like a substitute for another one, but Emmy's like, technically I'm not competing. So she fills in and she like competes for Talia, and Delilah, our girl Delilah, finally gets to be the arbiter. She finally gets her due.
At this point, I was like, why can't they just make multiple, and like, why can't they all have and wear cool mantles all of the time? Like, why?
Yeah.
That just seems like, and especially because we later learn like the reason for the Harlow's lack of power. Like, that's just would seem fair. It seems fair to me.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's, you know what, Rachel, it would cause a massive drug problem among the Harlows because it's explicitly compared to taking heroin. Like,
it doesn't
it's
make
explicitly compared to heroin.
Okay, I see. I really doubt that Emmy has ever tried heroin, much like Stephanie Meyer. I doubt she knows like what exactly she's talking about. But
yes,
I don't know.
But Emmy's grandma has definitely tried heroin.
The tiebreaker is like a scavenger hunt.
It's a scavenger hunt, yeah. So she bops around, and Emmy knows everything about the town. So she's like bopping around everywhere. You basically have to find something that like belonged to each of the like founders, and then you get the last clue like in the lake. Then she goes to get the thing in the lake, and it's at the bottom of the lake, but the lake is super cold because this is Illinois, like in October. But the Harlow power comes in handy. Because she's like, well, I don't have the magic to make the whole lake the correct temperature, but I can make myself, because I am mostly water, I guess, the correct temperature.
No, it's not that she's mostly water. What are you talking about? No, she just bewitches it so that any water that touches her. So it's just like a very thin layer. And she misses like a spot on her shoulder bones, like her armpit, but like it's fine, I guess. She survives.
Yeah, she's just gonna get frostbite there. It's okay.
Yeah,
like NBD.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she jumps in, and I was like, wow, full circle. Like, love that like
use for it. Yeah.
She planted that at the beginning, and you were like, oh, that's cool, but like not important. And then like, guess what? She wins because of it.
Bitch is back. So she gets it.
Which means that Talia is like the head witch now.
And then this is when
the dad takes off his Scooby-Doo villain mask.
Fucking God.
I mean, not really, like, but really. Like,
really.
Fuck him.
It turns, okay, so this is when we were saying how like the Harlows was like magical Joseph Smith, Witch Smith. That's because apparently Alistair Harlow found the town first. And because he could like sense it all the way from Florida or whatever, and he came up there and found it, and basically it's like Florida? He came from Florida, he came from far away, I don't know, Georgia, somewhere, and basically it was like a super strong font of magic that like other people couldn't use. It needed a filter, and like he was a great filter because of like his kind of magic, and we never find out like what other powers they actually would have had. But so that's how the other three families were able to come find it. They like sense it. He made it so that they could sense it. And then he also, like him being there, made it so that they could actually use it. But
basically, he refines the raw magic.
It basically uses up so much of their bandwidth that they don't really have any power left to do whatever they want. Like they're basically just like a giant like server running it for everyone else. And that's why they're so weak, which is so fucking lame.
But also why, and you would think like, okay, well, Emmy can be the one with the town thing. That means that like all of them could be, no. It's literally just like the elder, like the one Harlow, like quote unquote elder who gets to do the one, who gets to like do the one with the town thing.
So they keep it a secret from everyone except for the elder, because Alistair Asshat was like,
Elias.
I don't care. He sucks. He is a liar. Elias. Elias. I don't call him a liar. He is like, well, we don't want to give anyone any incentives to stay in the town. So like you don't find out until you already made the decision to stay, which this is another reason the dad's like a huge villain, because he basically tricked Emmy into coming back and getting saddled with this and screwed over Delilah, which again, justice for Delilah. Like she's the oldest.
Yeah. But also Emmy is like, dude, like Emmy is rightfully like, that is the she's like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Just the not telling. Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck? She wouldn't have needed to be guilted to come back. She's literally like, if I had known this, I I never would have left. I would never have been so self-conscious.
But that's what I'm saying about the measurement changing instead of like realizing that you don't need to measure up to this arbitrary standard. You know
yeah,
what
but
I mean?
she was already like before that. She was like basically 99% there.
And listener, you might be wondering, this seems like a really raw deal for the fucking Harlows and also all these other families that now can no longer use their magic outside of this like 1 square mile fucking town. Why don't they just leave and go elsewhere from whence they came? And the answer is that they have now fundamentally changed their like magical chemistry, body chemistry, and they are now dependent. Speaking of the aforementioned heroine, which begs the question, why not just give them magical mantles? Because they're already all like hamstringed and addicted at this point. Like,
yeah,
it's so
why
stupid.
The fuck? Like all of these people could do magic outside of this town, like historically. Like we know that they could all do magic. Like, what does it just make them more powerful? You know what it is? It's the same thing as the wand lobby in fucking Harry Potter. Like
it's the same. Yeah,
it's the wand lobby because in Harry Potter, like right. Ladies and gents, like all those people can do magic without wands, but then like they get wands to like start learning spells and like training, and it's because the fucking wand lobby wants them to be dependent on wands. This is the same thing. Elias Harlow is actually a representative of the wand lobby. But instead of wands, it's lake. Yeah. It's a lake.
And you know what it also reminds me of? Like in Twilight, Edward's power versus Aro in the Volturi. So like Edward can hear everyone's thoughts, but like only what they're thinking at the time, but like from a distance. Whereas Aro can touch you, but like hear all of your thoughts, like that you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
And I ask you, listener, which power would you rather have? Because I feel like the choice that the witches in this book made was to trade Edwards for Aros, which I don't think most people, anyone in their right mind would choose. And they did that not just for themselves, but for all of their descendants. Like maybe they didn't know, maybe they all didn't know that it would like weaken them and make it impossible to leave. But you know who definitely did know? Elias. For sure. You just know it. Like he's just that level of an asshole. He just like Joseph Smith everyone. He trolled them all. He pulled a Brigham Young and a Joseph Smith. He just like which I don't
he really did. I can't believe we unlocked like a secret Mormon conspiracy in this town.
Like God.
Speaking of the Twilight vampires.
Which my personal theory is that like Joseph Smith was like, you know, whatever, like probably whack, but like he wasn't that bad. All the like really bad stuff I feel like comes from Brigham Young, the same way that like Paul in the Bible is the one who brings like the misogyny, the homophobia, literally all the self and all just stuff. Like all the shit.
The castratos bring that in.
Yes, women can't speak in the church. If you're not, listener, are you aware that the reason, you probably heard that like back in the day for opera, they used to like sometimes castrate little boys so that they would continue having high voices because they didn't want women. The reason they couldn't have women singing was that Bible verse in one of Paul's books in the New Testament that's like women shouldn't speak in church, basically. Anyway.
Conspiracy unlocked. Elias Harlow, it's the Holy Trinity. Paul, Brigham Young, Elias Harlow, the Holy Trinity of gaslighting dickwads, like creating cults, basically.
And I really, Emmy is like absolutely not. And the fact that she can just do that so easily, like she can tell anyone she wants. There's no like magic keeping her. Just like her dad can literally.
Her dad could have told her this whole time.
Her dad really just seems like he's totally just sucks. Yeah. So anyway, So
Emmy immediately goes and tells Delilah. Yeah, she's like, guess what I just found out.
Yeah, which just like, I mean, I'm glad she's like finally, you know, opening up and being more honest with her. But I just feel like choosing this fun fact to be the first thing you really share on a deep level, I feel like it's just rubbing it in. It's like, this is what you would have gotten if it had been you instead of me. Like, suck it. I just feel like this all comes back to the dad like breeding this like pseudo sibling rivalry. And they're not siblings, but like because then
he really did.
No, he did, because Emmy is like, okay, well, I want you to have like the job at the bookstore because you love it. And to, like
inherit it, basically.
Inherit it, yeah. But and she's like, I'll clear it with my dad first because like I know he really wants me to have it. And I feel like, obviously Delilah's not his daughter, but like. She is his niece, and it seems like they're all really close family and like basically sibling level, and he's just playing favorites for no reason. Like,
Delilah is the one who's like, make sure you tell your dad that it's okay because he has been like explicitly saving this for you. Like, I do like that Delilah gets the bookshelf. Honestly, I feel like that's what Delilah like wants. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like Delilah, she'd be like, oh, the communion with the town would be cool, but like the books, like the knowledge is what I really want. So yeah, so Emmy decides to stay. They have another like sexy dance scene. And Talia's like, that's great. And then they get back together. And then Talia's also like, maybe sometimes I'll go to Chicago for a few days. And I was like, wow, compromise. And then Talia pulls like a Mean Girls moment, essentially, the end of Mean Girls, where like Katie like breaks the crown and like passes it out to everybody. Like Talia is like, like I won, but like I'm giving it to Emmy. And so like not only does Emmy get the commune with the town, but she gets to be the head witch now.
Which still,
and so she wins.
It's just all not as good as like actually having cool powers.
Magical powers.
Like what she should have gotten is mantles for everyone. Like I guarantee they don't actually have to be mantles. They could just be like a bracelet. Or like how Talia, we didn't mention, but she has like her ruby that she wears to protect her and it shattered.
She has a garnet.
Yeah, a garnet, yeah, when she got hit with the ghosts. So like, why if they can have that, why can't the Harlows have like a power ring? Like
honestly,
a power, just like, a little stud, just a tasteful little stud honestly, in their ear. I don't know.
It doesn't even like it can just be a mantle. Like everyone walking around with sick cloaks, like great. They don't leave this town, right? But they don't leave this town, and it's a magic,
inconvenient.
It's a magic cloak, Rachel. You can install air conditioning.
Why doesn't everyone just get to choose whatever they want? And you can wear your loser mantle.
No, I'll look sick, and you'll have some tacky costume jewelry. How about that?
Fine, whatever.
Like a loser, I'll like be walking around with my cape flowing behind me.
My God.
Okay. Yeah, so Emmy gets to be the head witch and everybody's happy. And then instead of an epilogue, so I wanted an epilogue where they were getting matching tattoos.
Oh,
right?
I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
so what the heck? Like they're getting matching in Chicago. Like Talia's come to Chicago, but instead, what did we get instead, Rachel?
We got questions for discussion, which I honestly have not seen since reading a book, since like a book in school where it's like questions for kids, like how do you like, and it was like, what do you think about which power would you rather have, which family, like what do you think, were they too harsh on Garrett? Like I don't know.
Wait, did you listen to all of them? Because I like clicked out.
I listened. Well, I just like, I don't know, I kept it going. I was waiting for you to show up. Oh my gosh. Well, I should have saved some of them to ask you.
Can someone from the editorial team please like email me? We read it one night at gmail.com. Let me know. Let me know the thought process behind this, because I've never seen this in a piece of genre fiction.
There are not enough Balkan authors in schools these days, in my personal opinion. So
are there any? Are there any?
No. We always, they're infinitely, if Lana Harper gets added, that will be infinitely many more than there currently are. So. Should we put discussion questions? For our podcast?
Yeah. Okay, so first discussion question.
Who do you think is more obnoxious? Me or Allison?
Rachel or Allison? What do you think their motivations are for talking about Twilight so much? Why do you think Mormonism factors so heavily into this podcast, despite the fact that we are not Mormon? All right, the cat scale. You thought this had dog energy, but did I change your mind with all of my cat quotes?
I mean, like technically, but that's still not going to change my vibes as I was reading it, you know.
I just like Talia was a cat. She was like a Maine Coon. Like a black Maine Coon. 100%.
No, I think that's like what she would have been if she was what she was on face value, but she's completely not like that. I feel like she's a total, not the cat.
She's a cuddly black Maine Coon.
No, I don't think she's a cat. I think people put her in the cat box, but she's not really a cat.
I think she's a cat. I think you're unfairly slandering cats.
I'm not. It's not slander. I'm just saying the vibes. Like, you know me. I'd cuddle a cat, hands down.
Semi-feral smile.
Semi-feral.
Okay. Cat scale. Do you have your number?
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. 5.
8. 6.5 for the cat scale.
Woohoo.
Rachel, where can they find us?
No, Allison, where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at We Read It One Night. On Twitter at We Read It Podcast. You can buy our merch on Redbubble. It's linked below. It's pretty sick. I got my sticker today. I just gotta slap it on my water bottle, as well as my hat that you could spot on our Instagram.
Woohoo.
And also, you can leave us a rating and review. Do it right now. 5 stars right now. Just click it. It's so easy. It's one click. It's there. It's right there. It's so satisfying. Like, you get to fill up those stars. Like, those stars are empty, and now you get to fill them all up. Like, it's like coloring. It's like an adult coloring book. Just 5 stars right now. Also, if you're feeling jazzy, write a review. And in your review, you can I don't know, tell us
a discussion question.
Yeah.
Answer to one of the discussion questions.
Also, email us at rereaditrednight@gmail.com and send us your listener suggestions.
Godspeed, comrades.
Godspeed.